This is the Bugatti Bolide, a new experimental hypercar built around Bugatti's 8-liter quad-turbo W16. And this is a golf ball that was rolling around in the back of Caniff's pickup truck. He's a Ford Ranger guy, so he's got a lot of stuff out there. He's got golf balls, he's got old golf clubs, he's got chairs, he's got dead people. Ranger life. Now what do these two things have in common? Well, supposedly they're aerodynamics, at least according to a bunch of articles and Bugatti themselves. Bugatti has the Bolide set to break some serious records, but how much of what they say about this golf ball Aero is really real? Well, turns out not all of it. And today, we're gonna dabble in the black magic that is aerodynamics, explain the science behind the Bugatti Bolide, and see how much it and this old golf ball really have in common. If there's one thing I hate more than hypocrites, it's people who play golf. Loony boony. Are we good? Thank you to Off the Record for sponsoring today's video. Top of the morning to ya. St. Patrick's Day is here, and I know how fun it is to go out for the holiday. But remember that the police know what this holiday means, and they'll be out looking for speeders, swervers, and all kinds of reckless driving. That's why you need Off the Record app downloaded on your phone, ready to go. Off the Record offers a network of attorneys to fight your ticket, and even give you a refund if they can't reduce or remove it entirely.
Register now to use code DONUT for 10% off your first ticket at offtherecord.com/donut.
Was that great? Did I nail it?
Nailed it.
Yes. A few years back, Bugatti asked themselves, what if? What if we strip away all of the Chiron's heavy bodywork and creature comforts and replace everything with the latest lightweight aerodynamic parts and crank up that legendary engine? You ever seen someone crank up something or on crank? You get it. The answer they came up with is the Bugatti Bolide. Bolide is Italian for fireball, and it's a track-only monster weighing just over 1,200 kilos with 1,800 horsepower. That's like the weight of a Mini Cooper and the power of 2 Indy cars. But a great power-to-weight ratio isn't the only ingredient for a fast race car. You need race car tires, race car suspension, and maybe most importantly, race car aerodynamics. But I'm not sure if race car aerodynamics is the right term, because the Bolide has a feature I've never seen on any race car. On the roof is a giant air intake which feeds that massive W16 engine, and on top of that are 60 inflatable bubbles that can extend up to 10 millimeters from the surface of the car. Bugatti says that this morphable outer skin reduces drag and improves both agility and efficiency. They say it can do this because those bubbles work just like dimples on the surface of a golf ball. So there you have it. That completely explains Bugatti's new golf ball Aero. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. What? We're not done? Look, Bugatti, I get it. Aero is complicated, but for starters, those are bubbles, and golf balls, they have dimples. Those aren't the same. They're kind of like the actual opposite. So let's pick up where Bugatti left off and see if we can fill in some of the gaps in this story. Before we get into how Bugatti's golf ball Aero works, we need to understand some of the basics of aerodynamics. Race car Aero is complex. It involves many parts working together, but aerodynamic design is based on a simple principle. Adding or reducing pressure to one side of an object will create an imbalance that can move that object. Let me show you what I mean. Just by being in our atmosphere, these two ping pong balls have a constant force on them from both sides, about 14 psi or 1 atmosphere. Since the pressure is on all sides, it's balanced and the balls remain stationary. Now, if I add more pressure to one side, for example, by blowing on it, it moves towards the area of lower pressure. Now, what if instead of increasing pressure, we lower it? We can do this by using the Bernoulli principle, which states that an increase in the speed of a fluid occurs simultaneously with a decrease in static pressure. If we create a current of air between the two ping pong balls, you might think this air current would push them apart. But the moving air actually reduces the air pressure between them, causing the balls to move inward. Increasing pressure or decreasing pressure, it doesn't matter. Any imbalance will create motion. So how do these principles apply to race cars? Vroom, vroom, let's go speed. Let's start with the most obvious example of race car aerodynamics, the rear wing. It creates a vertical pressure differential with high pressure on top and low pressure below. This produces negative lift or downforce, pushing the car into the track, which means more grip, which means faster speed when you're going around corners. The Bolide has adjustable wings front and rear, and at 200 miles an hour and maximum attack angle, Bugatti says they're good for 5,700 pounds of combined downforce. That's a lot of yo mamas. Now, another way race cars produce downforce is by taking advantage of ground effect. Similar to how creating a current of air between the ping pong balls causes them to move inwards towards each other, creating a fast moving current of air underneath a car will cause it to be sucked down to the track. So why not just install some sick side skirts and a huge wing, call it a day? Well, Aero isn't all that simple. All the downforce producing parts of a race car can create huge amounts of grip and high speed stability, but they have to be precisely calibrated to work in harmony. If the front splitter's angle of attack is too shallow, this can create lift, and that lift can cancel out the downforce from the ground effects. And without ground effects and a rear wing producing a huge downforce on the rear of the car, something like this can happen.
Here we go. Oh my God, the Mercedes has taken off.
Your car stops being a car and it starts being a plane. We don't want that. Planes are planes for a reason. Right, guys? So now you know the basics. Make everything work in harmony and create tons of downforce. Well, that would be great for high-speed handling and braking, but it comes at a cost of acceleration and top speed, because most downforce-producing parts also create drag. Usually when we think of drag, the first thing that comes to mind is having to push air out of the way. But there's a secondary drag called pressure drag, and it's just as important. Pressure drag is when a fast-moving object leaves a low pressure area or wake behind itself. And this wake increases the pressure differential, pulling the object backwards, slowing it down further. So how do we reduce this pressure drag? Well, in Bugatti's case, they turn to a concept that's over 100 years old. And it looks like this. Boing! Like any object, a moving ball displaces the air in front of it, and air has viscosity. It likes to stick to whatever surface it's traveling over. At low speeds, air travels along the ball's surface in nice orderly layers, all going the same direction. This is called laminar flow. As a ball moves faster, the inertia of the faster air overcomes the viscosity forces that were keeping it stuck to the ball, and so the air detaches. And that separation leaves a large, low pressure wake that gradually fills in with detached air tumbling into it. And this causes that pressure drag we were talking about before. So how do dimples help with separation? Well, the dimples create microscopic areas of high and low pressure. These turn the boundary layer of laminar air into turbulent air, so the layers are no longer gliding smoothly past each other. This turbulent air has less inertia, so it can stick to the surface of the ball longer. It's not much extra stick, but a dimple golf ball can fly twice as far as a smooth one. So how does this compare to what Bugatti is doing with the Bolide? Well, the Bolide suffers from the same detaching air dilemma as our flying golf ball. At speeds over 50 miles an hour, the air passing over the intake scoop would detach instead of following the curve of the roofline. As the car increases in speed, the wake of the hood scoop would reach further and further back, eventually producing a low pressure area around the rear wing, making it way less useful. So they brought in the bubbles. Like the dimples on a golf ball, the Bolide bubbles prevent the separation by creating multiple areas of high and low pressure. All those small pressure differentials produce turbulent air that can stick to the surface of the car and follow the curve of the body towards the rear wing. When Bugatti says that those bubbles reduce the aerodynamic drag of the scoop by 10%, they're not talking about the air resistance at the front of the scoop. They're talking about the pressure drag behind it. Bugatti is actually not the first company to use bubbles like this to reduce pressure drag, but they are the first to make those bubbles active. So why not just have the bubbles inflated all the time? Well, below 50 miles an hour, the air is moving over the intake slowly enough that it doesn't detach. If the bubbles were there, they just create drag in the form of air resistance. Dimples on a golf ball, they have the same problem. The perfect golf ball would have active dimples that don't appear until 55 miles per hour, when their positive impact on pressure drag will outweigh their increased air resistance. I guess I found out how to make a lot of money. Make an active golf ball and sell it to cheaters. All golfers have cheated at least once in their golfing life, right? So why use bubbles instead of dimples? Dimples would create areas of low pressure, but probably would be less effective than bubbles, which protrude into the airflow. Maybe they'd work even better if the bubbles had dimples, but that's untested speculation, and unfortunately, so is a lot of what Bugatti is saying about the Bolide. According to Bugatti, the Bolide's massive power, lightweight, and high-tech aero means it could lap the Nürburgring in 5 minutes 23 seconds. It could lap the 24 hours of Le Mans circuit in 3 minutes 7 seconds, they say, 7 seconds faster than the fastest race car. Bugatti says the Bolide could do these things, but they haven't actually done it. The Bolide is a real functional car and it looks pretty sweet. But apart from the weight and the horsepower, every number Bugatti has said is based on computer simulations. The Bolide has not run from 0 to 60 in 2.1 seconds. It hasn't hit 311 miles per hour. It has not produced 5,700 pounds of downforce. And those magic bubbles on the roof, they've never produced a 10% reduction in drag. Those bubbles' success is all based on simulations too. It's like the Matrix over there at Bugatti. I want to believe all those numbers are possible. I really, really do. But for me to believe it, I need more than just a simulation. I need to see it. I need to see it happen. I didn't believe in Brendan Fraser until I saw him in a Walmart in Rancho Cucamonga. He's a nice guy. Where has he been? Nobody knows since I saw him there. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of B2B. Follow us on Instagram at Donut Media. Follow me on Instagram at Jeremiah Burton. Click like and subscribe. That really helps us out. Let us know how we're doing in the comments. You guys like this nerdy stuff? I hope so. Until next week. Bye for now.